This evening on a Friday night here in New York City. In the meantime, I want to go to Brad Willinger for a moment. Bring such a great dimension to rock and roll music here. You've seen so many concerts over the years. I wouldn't know how many concerts that would be. You probably don't have a number.
I'd say I want to say what, 1,000 maybe.
That's all.
That's it. That's it. Oh, that's all Genesis? Yeah, that's all. No, anyway. So
what was the first concert you ever saw?
First concert I ever saw.
remember?
Well, I do. If you want to call it a concert, it was an acoustic show. 1974 at Monroe Woodbury High School. Don McLean and Pete Seeger
Yeah, and I think
played
Don
together. That
Mc-
was about 3 years after American Pie came out.
I think
And,
Don McLean's actually playing tonight over in South Orange, New Jersey.
You're kidding.
So the concerts that are coming up, obviously you're seeing the Stones like a lot of other people are here in New York
Right.
City, New Jersey this summer. Anything you'd like to say about this concert coming in August?
Well, I mean, these are, obviously these are rescheduled shows from what originally were going to be in June. Of course, though, Mick Jagger had heart valve replacement surgery, and so he actually made a very quick recovery. So fortunately, they were able to get these shows rescheduled, and certainly these shows will be obviously. I think they're pretty much sold out or pretty close to it.
Everyone should know that I met Brad Willinger in a radio station years ago in the 1980s at Bright 104.
Bright 104
WFAS.
WFAS FM, 1988. That's right. It's only a few years ago.
How many? Already that many years ago. Oh, my goodness sakes.
31 years ago, almost about 31 years ago.
And you were a disc jockey on the radio, as I recall. We met through Mike Scott and Mike Thebner and so forth and so. And ever since, we've been friends ever since. We've been to many concerts together, many trips over the years. I guess we could write a book about
You could write a book about that. I'm sure you have a book coming out very soon about that, right?
Yeah, it should be. And from
You're working. I know you're working assiduously on it right now.
Actually, I am actually. And when that comes out, you can interview me.
That's right. For sure. For sure.
In the meantime, of the concerts coming up this year, you saw Jeff Lynne, I believe, at the Beacon, ELO.
Well, I saw ELO actually.
was that?
What was it last? I think it was last year. Last year I saw ELO. They played. I think it was in August, maybe August of last year.
Jeff Lynne still got the voice.
He does. He sounds exactly like he did back in the day. There's no question about it. It's just that ELO now, it's, there are no original members left in ELO. I mean, there's no Bev Bevan, who was the original drummer. None of those people are, Bev Bevan and others that are no longer with the group. But, who would have thought Jeff Lynne would have been back touring anyway? He's been doing it for the last about 4 or 5 years he's been touring.
And you were going to say something about Todd Rundgren. You wouldn't want to miss that opportunity, right?
Right. Well, Todd Rundgren is going to be part of. Well, he's actually been very busy because not only does he play with Ringo Starr and he tours with Ringo all the time, Ringo's all-star band, but he also did just recently. He did 2-night shows in different cities, where one night he did basically played his hits, like "Hello, It's Me" acoustically, and then the other night he did basically took questions from the audience, and it was kind of like a spoken word type of performance. So it was kind of an interesting contrast. But he is going to be part of, later this year, he's going to be part of the White Album, Beatles' White Album 50th anniversary celebration. So it's going to be Todd, Christopher Cross, Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees, and I believe Jason Scheff, who is in Chicago, replaced Peter Cetera, who you just played before. And Joey Molland from Badfinger, and they're all going to be playing together, doing not only are they going to be doing the songs from the Beatles album, the White Album, but they're also going to be doing some of their greatest hits. So it really should be quite an entertaining event.
Hopefully we'll go there together.
Yes, absolutely.
And we'll bring a little digital recorder, and we can take a couple interviews, right?
That's right. Maybe you can get backstage with them. I'm sure Christopher Cross will love to speak to you.
I'm sure he would. Only time will tell, though, right? I mean, reconstituted with the Yes, and maybe you'd like to tell us about the tour.
Well, yes, actually, yes. Speaking of yes, they're going to be doing some shows coming up here in the next week or two. They're actually going to be playing, I believe, June 14th, I think somewhere in Long Island Amphitheater, I believe, and they're calling it, I think, the Royal, I don't know what they're calling it, the Royal Crown Tour or something, or the RC Tour, I don't know. But actually the Royal Affair Tour, but it's going to be them, Asia, a kind of a reconstituted Asia. So that'll have, Steve Howe will actually be making a guest appearance with Asia, since he was in Asia, besides being, of course, a longtime member of Yes. And then You're also going to have Carl Palmer, and he'll be having a special guest with him doing vocal performances. The one and only Arthur Brown, if you remember Fire, from all the way back in 1967. Yes, the crazy world of Arthur Brown.
Yeah, we should play that song tonight.
You should, because Arthur's going to be playing with Carl Palmer on this bill. And also, there'll also be John Lodge from the Moody Blues. So
I was going to mention the Moody Blues.
That's correct.
So, any other concerts you want to mention tonight that's coming up between now and the end of the year? That you
coming up in September, you're going to have the only, Mr. Peter Frampton, who is about to start, I believe, here in the next couple of weeks himself, is going to be starting his farewell tour. You may have heard that Peter has come down with a muscular disease, degenerative disease, which will, most likely in about the next year or so, render him to be unable to play the guitar. So he's trying to get everything in as quickly as possible. He's recording several albums, including a blues album, a rock album, and he's trying to get everything in before this disease starts affecting him. So he'll be doing, this is his farewell tour, and he will be appearing in Madison Square Garden on September 13th.
You got the date.
And I will be at that show. So we'll be reliving Frampton Comes Alive for the last time.
Well, I'll tell you something. I remember the first time you saw Peter Frampton. Remember that experience you had back then?
Well, I think I remember, where was it, at BB King's? Yes, I saw him at BB King's. I think I had won tickets for that show on a radio.
WPLJ?
No, it wasn't PLJ. It was a public radio station, WFUV. But yes, I believe Yes, I did see Frampton there.
Look at Bruce Springsteen, the E Street Band coming up with.
Oh, that's right. Well, they've already Bruce has already announced that next year the E Street Band will be going back out on the road with the E Street Band. In fact, he will have an album out with the E Street Band next year. Meanwhile, he has an album coming out, I believe, in the next week or two, a solo album. He's already had a couple of songs that have been released off of the album. I believe something I promised you a miracle, or something where a song that he sounds like Roy Orbison. So it's kind of like a lush album with a very wide landscape type of songs. He wanted to reinvent the California 70s sound, and that's what he's doing with this new album that he's about to release, solo album.
And we're going to have Patrick Burek right after the 8 o'clock hour, singing a couple live hits right here on WPAT. He'll be back on Monday morning at 5:30 a.m. or somewhere in that morning show to talk a little bit about what he's doing and some of the concerts he's performing in the next week and so forth and so on. It'd be great to have Patrick back in here. Meantime, I got a song for Jeffrey and Denise from Park Slope, Brooklyn.